Hi, everyone. I'm going to give just a couple of minutes for people to get in and we can get started. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. Welcome, everyone. This is our third LinkedIn Live event. We're going to be doing these about every 3 weeks and trying to give you information on all things AI systems and how business is really evolving to leverage the technology so that businesses can be more effective and certainly more efficient. I'm Jeremy King, CEO of Strata Blue. I'll be leading the discussion today. If you have a topic or something that you want to discuss or you think would be great for a LinkedIn Live, certainly feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or reach out to me via email, which I will be sharing at the end. I know today is probably near and dear to all of you because it's the number one question that we get asked when we're talking to organizations, and that is, how do we get started? Or maybe we're started, are we doing it right? We have tools, we have people using individual accounts, we have corporate accounts, we have a whole tech stack. When it comes to leveraging AI, do we buy it? Do we build it? Do we build it with somebody else? Do we build it in-house? Or do we use what we have? Hopefully today I can give you an objective perspective on really the questions you should ask when your organization is thinking about what to build with AI. I liken it similar to when websites were first being built. Most people thought of websites as a maybe electronic billboard. They didn't really think about the content. SEO really wasn't a thing at that point, but they knew that they needed to have one. And so you just went out and you talked to people, and hopefully somebody gave you some good direction, and you built on something that could never be changed, or you built with somebody that every time you change something cost you money, or if you didn't want to work with that organization had all the it held all the data and held everything on your website so that you were essentially held hostage to those organizations. And so AI is in a similar spot, that it's a little bit of the wild, wild west. And so hopefully after today, I can answer those questions, and certainly send me any that I don't answer. Feel free to send those to me directly. So let's get rolling. So here it is. Usually it's somebody that doesn't understand AI that says we should use AI for that. And it's not that people that know how to use AI should say that, but it's just all the buzz. If you look at your LinkedIn feed, it's full of people promoting, bashing, or questioning AI. It's certainly the most talked about topic on LinkedIn, and certainly in the business world today. We get asked by everyone from people that we grew up with all the way to clients that we've had for years and colleagues. When you start with we should use AI for that statement, a lot of times nothing happens. We've met with companies that were really excited, and then 6, 7, 8 months later, they're doing nothing. And it's not because they picked wrong; it's they didn't make a decision. And I would challenge all of you today to at least make a decision when it comes to AI because it's not going anywhere. It's going to evolve. It's going to change. How it looks in 6 months, how it looks in 6 years are going to be different. But getting started and leveraging the technology because it's here and can give you a competitive advantage. And if you don't leverage the technology, you could certainly fall behind quickly. Just a little about us. One line. We help companies make the AI buy, build, and use decisions and then execute on the right path. So you come to us when you're on your AI journey saying, where do we start? We can build anything that we recommend. We can build the roadmaps for you, and we can help support you all along the way. It's important for you to know too, we're not a startup. We've been around since 2006. And we have certainly evolved as technology has evolved, but we've been around and we've been deploying AI for many years. So, what causes the freeze in that meeting when you know that AI is a viable solution? Tool fatigue. So, it's amazing to think that the average company uses 130 plus SaaS tools. And I challenge you just to think about yourself. Do you use a Grammarly? Where do you keep your notes? Do you have anything that manages? You think about your email, your CRM, Quicken, back office tools. Um, and so tool fatigue is a real thing. And so a lot of people don't want to add just another one to the stack. Also, all of the SaaS tools out there are using AI somehow, some way, and or touting that it's coming. Um, Most teams think building means 6 months and $1 million, and that's probably the biggest misnomer. So, unlike when websites were first being built and they got more and more expensive, there's downward pressure on AI because AI actually helps you build. So you can actually utilize the technology to help build out your AI strategy and system inside your organization. And so we ship everything in about 4 weeks. That's an average build for us, start to finish. Can be a little bit shorter if it's a very simple workflow, and it can be a little bit longer if it's more complex and more people are involved, decision trees, etc. But that's a big misnomer over there. And I'd say that when you think of AI workflows, think of them in the thousands, not in the hundreds of thousands. Use what you have feels lazy. You don't want to tell your boss that you already have the tool and you just weren't using it. But I would say if you're a Microsoft shop, the place I would start would be Copilot. If you're a Google shop, I would consider Gemini as a place to start. The one thing I will say, and I say this so often now, and I'll keep saying it until everybody hears it, the one thing not to do is do not encourage your team and your employees to use AI tools on their own that they own, because everything they feed inside that they will take with them if and when they leave. People are not staying at companies for 30, 40 years and getting the pension like they used to. Everything, if you encourage your employees to say use ChatGPT or use an AI tool and you don't own that tool and it's not company provided, anything they put in there goes with them. And they could spin up a company and that competes with you. And I know there's non-competes and things like that, but even non-competes now are really starting to get struck down in court. So protect yourself by ensuring that you do have a tool that they can use. And if you're encouraging your employees to use the tool, start with the ones you have. So Microsoft, Google, really the LLMs are all the big billionaires that are out competing for who's going to be the last one standing. My favorite is Claude. ChatGPT is a little bit simpler to start with, but Claude's a little bit more robust. A lot of where we start tends to change. And what happens is we get into the conversation, and the hardest part is where to start. And it's 50 different workflows, 50 different areas, and we sit in meetings all day long and we hear, well, can it do this? Yes. Can it do that? Yep. Can it do this? Yes. Can we do this? Oh my gosh. So let's do accounting, HR, revenue, let's do all of this. And that's a big process for everybody. And it's also, you have to remember the cultural piece to it too. You're going to want people to adopt the tools. So we tend to scope it down. If you want 10 or 15 tools, we'll typically start with 1 to 3. Get it started, get your team used to it, let it start learning, and then build from there. The other part is a lot of times people think they can't afford it. And you can afford to build them. Like I said, it's in the thousands, not in the 100,000. All right. So this is a framework to use when you are considering AI and considering whether you build or work in house. So, how fast does this actually deliver? What's the complexity? What's the risk? And then who owns the data and the logic? I'm going to go into these in more detail, but this is the framework that you're going to want to use when evaluating AI. So speed, how fast does it deliver? And not just the pilot, when it's deployed and it's working, how fast does it deliver? If you use what you have, that's typically a shorter path, anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks. You can build out the logic fairly quickly, especially if it's tied into some of your tools. Tends to be the fastest path, and it's already within your stack. If you buy it, so if you take something off the shelf, you typically get some sort of onboarding basic configuration and they'll roll it out. And this can be, 2 to 12 weeks, depending. The challenge with this often comes into the configuration because you're often held to configuring it yourself. And then if your build is done right, 4 to 12 weeks. And this is for a focused first version that's scoped the right way. If you don't scope it the right way, it can drag on months and months and months. So as you're thinking about speed and how quickly you need something in there, really the fastest is leveraging what you have. And then if you buy something off the shelf, really digging in and asking the questions about how hard it is to configure and roll it out. Does the complexity match the problem? If you have something basic that you're wanting, you just want meeting notes, you don't need custom, RAG system. There are lots of tools out there that off the shelf, and most of them, almost every virtual program out there, when you're on a video or any video program, is going to have a meeting note taker that's going to be able to summarize. And even if it just takes raw notes, you can use a quick summary in the tool that you have, like a Gemini, Copilot, Claude, whatever. So if you have a very complex sales process and you have a lot of information, especially confidential information, that's where the custom complexity pays off. Excuse me. If you are using it for pricing, or you're using it for building out your statements of work, really building a tool that's built for your business is going to be a better move. Risk is what a lot of people are worried about right now. So where does the sensitive data and information go? Right. So when you put something into it, where does it go? How is it looked at? Can people access it? Even some of the tools, Claude Cowork, it encourages you to tie it into all of your systems. So you want to really make sure that your data is secure, and that it's not just going into some system. especially when you're working with consultants, make sure you ask the question, where does the data go? Um, the A lot of software is built. In fact, if you talk to anybody in that world, they will tell you that they built it built to sell. So everything is built to sell. They always plan to go out and sell it to the big enterprise. And so what happens with that? What happens if you're using this tool and they get sold to one of the big enterprise software? Do you have to roll in? Do you have to spend more money? With agencies, there's a lot of agencies that have popped up that are startup. They have no business. They've never been in the business, never even been close to the business. I sat in a coffee shop. I was meeting someone a couple of weeks ago, and there were these two younger. I got to say, not kids. I'm getting old, so I say things like kids now, which is insulting. But they were probably early 20s, fresh out of school, and they were working on their pitches for AI and all that it can do. And it was saying, don't use the word bot, and don't use this. And it was really cool that they were learning some actual sales skills and aggression, but they were also, as they continued to talk, I could tell that this was a business that they popped up probably using ChatGPT or Claude, and who knows if they're going to be in business, right? I mean, good for them for starting out and being entrepreneurial, but everybody can't. Business success isn't for everyone, and most businesses fail after the first 6 months, or within the first 6 months. So make sure that you're vetting your vendors and there's somebody that's going to be around. And then, do you have the people to pull it off, internally and to manage? So if you have 17 workflows that you want to implement, do you have the people that are going to be able to manage it? Because the humans still have to be in the loop, and you still have to have somebody internally that owns it. So this is where most of the projects really stall and or die on the vine, as they don't have the people inside that can handle it. Then ownership. Can we export our data? Can we export the logic and prompts and workflow? So a lot of the off the shelf, especially when it comes to voice is quickly becoming more commoditized with off the shelf options. One, it's not tailored, so you're getting truly off the shelf, but you work with it, you build the logic, and that AI comes from machine learning. So back to when they called it machine learning, it's because it learns as it goes, and that's what AI does. It learns as it goes, and it gets better and it gets more effective. You do that, and you leave that tool because they failed to have a roadmap that progressed with technology. Then you're stuck. You're going to start over, and I know that sometimes you have to do that, but I would really ask if it's built for scale and built for the evolution of the technology. What's the exit cost if you leave? If you are not wanting to use the workflow anymore, if you're not wanting to use the technology, a lot of SaaS contracts have 2, 3, 4 year contracts that you're stuck with. So make sure that you ask that question as well. I've always been a fan of building so that you don't have to work with the company. You want to work with the company. And when you're thinking through this decision, and you're thinking about those tools, you want tools with open APIs. That's the way they can connect to other tools. The ones that don't open up their API, they're really building on a scarcity model of trying to lock you in, not building on the abundance mentality of, hey, we can work with others. And really where SaaS is going is it's going to an API model where all the technology can be connected. So, always ask if it's what the roadmap looks like and if they have open APIs. So these are some scores that we're going to go through some scenarios, and you look at those those the SCRO, you give yourself a 1 to 5 on it. And if you get into the 16 to 20, go for it. 11 to 15, I would address those gaps, and anything 10 below, I would scrap it. And I'm going to give you a few scenarios to walk you through so you can see really how you put this into play for your business. So sales call follow-ups and emails from call scripts, if you want to buy, there's Gong, Clary, and some others. If you want to build, it makes sense for unique sales motions, regulated industries, anything with something proprietary in there. Thing you want to check first, HubSpot, Salesforce, Pipedrive, whatever you're using, see if they have some tools already available. HR policy chatbot, there are some like Guru, but building's often cheaper than you think because you can give it the knowledge voice and the knowledge base, and you have full control over the access and the sourcing. Look at your 365 Copilot, see if it's connected to your HRIS or something where you could build that in-house. Support ticket routing like a Zendesk. It's worth routing if logic is core to how you compete. So if you have to make sure that it is perfect, or you have to make sure that there aren't any delays, then you want to make sure that you build it. Example is anything that would require some latency where it has to go out and connect to many different systems. You'd be more like you would want to build that so that the workflow is faster. So here's some traps. Misjudging the work. We're different. When I was in the marketing world, that was the most common thing we heard was, right, we're different, so we can't just do what everybody else did. And we get it. You're in business, and everybody starts a business because the business is different. But are you 100% different, or are you maybe 20% different, right? And so what is that? Can you take an off the shelf and get 80% of the way? And is 80% of the way, what's that going to get you if it's 80% better than it was? So look at that and build your systems around what's unique. That's where the customization comes into, but maybe you can get most of the way with the system that you already have in play. Buying tool after tool for 30-day pilots, that doesn't do you any good. You really at some point want to move forward because the pilots aren't a full it's not even a full test of what it can do. It's really just to give you a taste. The build trap and the build myth. It's just an API, and we just need to connect it. All builds end up here. All builds take forever. This is what happened the last time we worked with somebody. If you scope them right, and people that have done it before, and they know the security protocols, they know how to build knowledge base, they know workflow design, and that's all part of the build and not bolted on later, you're going to be okay. The challenge is many people are trying to make it really, really simple for you to get started, and their MVP is significantly less than what you need. And that's when you wind up bolting on, especially when it comes to knowledge base. Anything off the shelf is going to have a general knowledge base. It's not going to be customized to your business. We see this all the time in voice agents. I can tell an off-the-shelf voice agent the minute it picks up the phone. You can tell by how many times it repeats. You can tell by the words that they use. You can tell that it doesn't. It's not tailored like as if somebody had a script when they were calling. So build those out beforehand, and it'll make it go a lot smoother. Don't over scope too. So uh, the magic is somewhere in the middle, right? So scope it so that you have enough to get started and be realistic about what the goals are and where you can expand. Uh, because the technology is changing every day, you don't want to overkill the build with some beautiful build that takes 6 months, because in 6 months the technology could change. Um, Start with your tools. One of the first questions you'll get asked if we work together is what your tech stack look like. We want to look at your tools and see what already exists inside those tools and maximize those tools. Because even if you do have something that is native to one of your tools, you still need to build the knowledge base, and you still need to build the workflow. So look at those first. Look when your renewals are, and that will help you determine what you need to build and what you can build within in your system. Um, and then custom AI tool that works in a demo, but nobody adopts it, is worse than anything. So if it just sits on, if it is not connected to anything, it's not going to do anything but just look cool if you show somebody. So think of everything that you build inside AI should work inside a workflow that you have inside your organization. If you do not have documented workflows, we work with a lot of companies to help build those, but it starts with just step by step and putting it down somehow, recording it. I mean, it's really easy to build a workflow today. You could put on the recorder on ChatGPT or Claude or whatever tool you're using, and just walk up, just with the voice prompts, walk through the process, and it'll help build the workflow. But you definitely want to tie everything that you're doing into a workflow. This is one of the challenges with buying something off the shelf. Um, you've got this cost up here that you see, but what you don't see is all the prompting, the workflows, the integrations, embedding, the behavioral data, your team's muscle memory. And if you go away from that, um, you have to start over. And the deeper you get with it, the harder it is to move on. So um, you want to build it so that the memory and so the integrations and all of that, especially in a more complex system, is um, that you own the workflow, um, so that you're not being held to a software that's going to go away and you're going to start over with all of those. The beauty of AI is that it continues to evolve with you, and it continues to grow with you and learn. Um, so here's some things to think about. When a vendor gets acquired, uh, when a vendor pivots, year three renewal. When you get trapped and they come in and they raise their pricing, you want to ask about that. When a vendor goes under again, so a lot of startups won't make it, and then a better tool emerges. So what happens when a better tool emerges? We build everything so that it can scale and so that it can evolve with the technology. And we build it on what would be considered open source. And that's one thing you need to think about with this is what is open source. Open source with the open APIs, can evolve as technology improves and changes, and not be locked in as much. So definitely think about those, all of those, when you are evaluating the tools and the organizations that you're going to work with. So protecting yourself, talk about data portability. Where do the raw data sources come from? Who owns that? Um, Document the prompts, the configurations, and the workflows externally so that those can be moved. Never, let the AI tool become your system of record. It's part of the workflow orchestration. It's not the system itself. And run a drill once in a while and say, hey, if we have to switch everything up in 90 days, what's it look like? If you build it right, the knowledge base will stay will be yours. You'll own security. The tools will be secure, but you will own the security of all the data and where it's going. Workflows can be tuned and can be changed and can have other technology bolted into them. And you can extend without depending on a vendor. You should want to, if a relationship with us grows because we're expanding the workflows and what we're doing, it's not because we're charging more for something we already built. The hardest part is for us to look ahead and say, where's it going to be in 2 years? And I think we're seeing that it's moving at a faster pace than we've seen technology move before. And I would worry less about, is this tool going to be obsolete, but worry more about what is their roadmap and what is their philosophy on evolving. I can tell you that a lot of these tools, that when there is an update, you get the update just like you would say an app, right? Your app updates, hey, we update it with it. As there's an enhancement to the tool or to the technology, it just goes right in. And you should really think about, in 2 years from now, what's the team going to look like, and do we need to have somebody dedicated to AI within our organization, is a question that a lot of people are asking. And I would say that if you are an organization that has a lot of repetitive tasks, that'd be something to consider, as you'd have somebody that would own those workflows. So, how we work in that, we're not a reseller, so we're not it's concerned with what tools you're using. We're really more concerned with what works for what you have, where you're starting, and where you want to go. We'll talk to you about when you should build, when you can build it internally, and when and what place we can help you with. When you already have it, sometimes that's the answer. We have a new client that so far every question they've already exists, and we're just helping them tweak what exists, making that better. We're not out to try to get you to spend more money than necessary. We invest the same way in our organization that we would ask you to invest. So if you're thinking about it, feel free to reach out to me. Be happy to have a conversation. Um, I'll talk openly about it and ask you a few questions about your business and your stack. Worst case, you walk away and you have some answers to some of the questions that you may have. But if it makes sense, then we sit down with the larger team and we can start mapping out workflows. Thank you for your time today.